So there was this elderly widow who saw an advertisement in her newspaper that the local pet store sold talking parakeets. And she thought, well, what a wonderful thing. If I got a little talking parakeet, then it wouldn't be so quiet. I wouldn't feel so lonely. I would have somebody that I could just kind of have little conversations with. A little pet would be so nice. So she decided to go to this pet store and get a talking parakeet, whom she named Pete. And she took Pete home and put Pete in his little cage. But Pete didn't talk. Little Pete didn't say anything. And so the woman, very concerned, goes back to the pet store and says to the owner, my little parakeet Pete, he won't talk. And the pet owner says, or the store owner says, well, I've had this happen before. Here's what little Pete needs. Pete needs a little mirror. You need to buy a little parakeet mirror for Pete. You put that mirror inside of the cage. The Pete will see the bird. He'll think there's another bird, and he'll start talking to that bird. And we sell little parakeet mirrors for $12. So the woman buys the mirror, puts the mirror in, and she watches the little parakeet go and look in the mirror. But still, parakeet doesn't talk. So she goes back to the pet store the next day, and she says, well, little Pete, he still won't talk. And he says, well, you know what? I've had this happen. You need to buy Pete a little swing. They just love to swing in their little bird cages. If you get this little swing, they'll swing back and forth. It'll fill their hearts with joy, and then they'll start singing. And we sell those for $13. So she buys the little swing, puts the little swing in there. Pete looks at the mirror. Pete gets on the swing, goes back and forth, but Pete still doesn't speak. So a couple days later, the woman comes back to the pet store, and the pet owner says, well, how's it going? And she says, well, I have a sad story. Pete died. That's so sad. And the woman says, but Pete did speak before finally dying. And he says, oh, really? What did Pete say? Pete asked, did they sell any bird food at the pet store? And that's a funny story, except that same thing happens in countless churches. There are all kinds of diversions, activities, and programs that are being offered to engage people in the church. All the while, many churches are not giving the food of the gospel.